I've had haters and naysayers since I first stepped in the ring 6 years ago. This is a fight that will silence one or two of them. Some people like to say I've not been tested, and you can't say that after I've fought Arthur Abraham. I've dealt with it my whole career, people saying I'm only here because of who my father is. But it doesn't matter what your name is. If you can fight, you can fight. I want the belts. Groves and Degale, these are fights I deserve to be in, and beating Arthur Abraham will solidify that claim. I'm sure we will be able to get those fights on this year or early next year. I want to fight the best. I'm at the stage of my career where I need to be fighting for titles. Abraham is very highly ranked. I want the world titles and I want names. I want fights that will build my legacy. This is an opportunity for me. I've got the opportunity to fight one of the best super middleweights in the world and put my stamp on the division. He's strong and come forward, but I see a lot of holes in his game. I will exploit those holes ruthlessly. Those are the words of Chris Eubank Jr. talking about his upcoming fight against Arthur Abraham and also his domestic rivals James Degale and George Groves, who hold world title belts. The Eubank Arthur Abraham fight will be for the IBO super middleweight world title, which Eubank currently holds, which he won in his last fight against Reynold Quinlan. It's not a universally recognized title. I have heard whisperings, and they did mention this at the press conference, that there's the possibility that this particular fight here between Eubank and Arthur Abraham will be some type of eliminator for the IBF belt. And we know that James Degale holds the IBF belt. Now, don't quote me on that. I don't know if this has been confirmed, but these are the whisperings that it could be some type of eliminator for the IBF belt. That will put Chris Eubank Jr. in a very good position if he's able to beat Arthur Abraham and it was some type of final eliminator for the IBF belt. Because then, or, some type of eliminator. Because then he'll be able to put pressure on James Degale through the sanctioning body to fight him. Because at the moment, it appears that James Degale's not interested in fighting Chris Eubank Jr. Is he afraid of him? I seriously doubt it. James Degale is a very brave man. But is James Degale maybe letting his emotions get involved here? I think so. I think he has a very deep dislike for Chris Eubank Jr. and doesn't want to give him a payday at this point in time. He's seen what the Eubanks are doing on ITV. They've basically gone their own direction. They are free from the constraints and the control of the major promoters in Britain. And if they're able to really get into some of the big fights, then they're going to make the kind of money which I guess James Degale don't want Eubank to be making. So maybe he don't want to give him the opportunity financially at the moment. That's why I suspect. I don't really think it's about James Degale being afraid of Chris Eubank Jr. James Degale, for all his faults, I do believe he's a very, very brave man. And as for George Groves, I mean, we'll see if Groves is interested in fighting Eubank Jr. That's a fight I'd like to see. Apparently, George Groves and Chris Eubank Jr. have sparred countless rounds together. I would have loved to see that sparring. Familiarity breeds contempt. So if these two do actually get in the ring, Eubank Jr. and Groves at some point, I'm expecting a very, very good fight because they know each other well. They know each other's moves, so on and so forth. So there probably won't be too much of a feeling out process. That's usually the case. Not always, but usually the case when you get two fighters in the ring who have sparred together extensively. There's not much of a feeling out process. They just tend to come out and go for it. We saw it very famously, a very good example of it in the Keith Thurman Sean Porter fight. Anyway, drop your comments in the comment section below. Let me know how you feel about all the things that Chris Eubank Jr. has said here, all his quotes, and let me know how you feel he would do against James Degale or George Groves, and how realistic do you think those fights are? Which fight do you think is more likely to happen first? Eubank Jr. against Groves or Eubank Jr. against Degale? Maybe you disagree with me. Maybe you think Degale is actually afraid of Chris Eubank Jr. Maybe he don't see that as a good style matchup for himself. Let me know how you feel in the comment section below, people. It's happening. I'm out.